Steel Curtain Network.
What is up, Pittsburgh Steelers fans? Welcome to another Steelers preview podcast. Yes, we've been doing this earlier than normal. We appreciate everyone for the adjusted schedule. I can't say it's always going to be at this time, but for the next month or so, there's a good chance we'll be going early. I'm Jeff Hartman. You should know my name by now, and you should know Brian Anthony Davis and Dave Schofield joining us. Brian, welcome to the show. What's up?
Glad to be here. Gosh, next time we talk, it's going to be February. This is craziness. Where
oh
has
my
this
gosh,
year
it
gone?
is. I just realized that. I just realized next Thursday is February. Where did January go? It's crazy.
I know.
All right, Dave Schofield joins us. What's up, Dave?
Yes, we are exactly 1 month since Christmas. The infamous Baltimore-San Francisco game had not kicked off yet 1 month ago.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Because I was thinking about. I didn't say it on the air, but I should have. Tuesday on Scobro, I'm like, it was exactly 1 month since the Steelers turned their season around with that win over Cincinnati with Mason Rudolph's first start.
Right.
It's just crazy how fast it goes, and I can already set goals of what's going to happen over no more than a 6-week period and get us all the way back to training camp. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
Okay, so Steelers preview is previewing a lot of stuff today. We're going to talk free agent positions of need or prioritizing those free agent positions, just taking a look at where we would want the Steelers to go in free agency from a positional standpoint. We're not talking about individual players just yet, just taking an early look at prioritization. But before we do that, I want to ask you all something. So today, Thursday, we found out that Joey Porter Jr. and TJ Watt were both finalists for AP different awards, the Defensive Rookie of the Year and the Defensive Player of the Year for TJ Watt. Do you think they have a chance of winning either? Brian, we'll start with you.
All right. I have been shouting this conspiracy since probably about week 8 that Myles Garrett has had this one since really the beginning of the season. It doesn't matter what he does. It doesn't matter if he swings his helmet. It doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter if he gets another sack. It's just like, it seems like he's anointed and they want him to win one. And you see where Peter King's going ahead and voting, and you see these different votes. I don't see the AP to go anywhere else. With Joey Porter Jr., I'm not quite sure, because I was looking at the list today. There's some decent names on there. I think Jalen Carter from the Eagles is another one they want to redeem, that seems to need to be redeemed. And I almost feel like they want to go ahead and award him for that slide.
The redemption story. Okay. Dave, what about you? What do you think?
Well, TJ Watt should be the Defensive Player of the Year, but as I say, it's more about the hype up to it than the actual numbers. The reason he should be is because he has the best numbers. He does. But whether or not he, even though he should have been the season before he was the first time. But that doesn't mean that that's how people are going to vote. And we've seen it even based on various non-official all-pro teams where TJ Watt was left off. So based on that, it seems like those with an agenda to have an anointed person be the one, then you go with it. The problem is, and that you could have made the case for it at around mid-season, that it seemed that Myles Garrett was going to be the guy to be Defensive Player of the Year. He was having a good season. He just was very quiet down the stretch. But that's when they made the decision of when it's going to be. It's almost like they treated it like baseball. It's almost like they treated it like the All-Star game and it was halfway through the year. And just rolled with it. So TJ Watt should be, but he won't be. Joey Porter Jr., I think, is interesting. I think that he could be the dark horse one, but chances are I wouldn't be shocked if he comes in second, though.
Okay.
So he has a chance, but I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't get it if he's next in line.
Joey Porter, I said this with Jeremy Betts on my Friday Let's Ride podcast, where I said how Joey Porter doesn't have a position where you have a lot of those metrics. You have to look at advanced analytics and coverage percentages and how he suffocated some really good receivers down the stretch and how he followed them wherever they went. That kind of works against him. But
Yeah.
I want to bring up here TJ Watt, in case people don't follow him on social media, maybe they don't have social media, they just like to watch us on YouTube and listen to our podcast. He doesn't post a lot of stuff. He's not a guy that's posting all the time, especially on his Twitter account. But today he posted this, and it was a picture. It's of a baseball diamond with the lights on. But here's what it reads. This is not his quote. He just posted this. There are going to be doubters out there. No matter what, they will still doubt. Even when you make it to the bigs, they will doubt. They will say you don't belong. Let them say what they want, but never let their doubt affect. Don't ever doubt yourself. When you look in the mirror, know that you can do it. Push yourself. Believe in yourself. You are the only one who needs to believe in you. Work in silence, then show the world. TJ Watt has used social media before to kind of say what he's thinking. I remember after Aaron Donald won it, what year was that? Everyone said that TJ Watt had a better year, but didn't win it that year. It was the year before he won it. What year was that?
Yeah.
2021? No. 2020.
Was it? I think it was 2020.
Okay. And right after they announced the winner is Aaron Donald, he put that Michael Jordan gif out there that said, and I took it personal. So TJ Watt has done this before. I think he probably sees the writing on the wall that he's not going to win Defensive Player of the Year, but it's probably going to really motivate him to elevate his game even more, as if he could, coming off a 19-sack season, a season where he scored a touchdown, an interception, made big play after big play after big play in critical moments. So we shall see. But I wanted to get your all's thoughts on that. Any other final thoughts on that, Brian, before we move on?
I just feel that TJ Watt has already cemented his legacy at this point. Now, I feel like Hall of Fame right now is absolutely in the bag if he just even if he retired tomorrow.
Yeah. Dave, any final thoughts on that?
No, Brian was good enough.
There you go. Okay, so let's go into the topic of today's podcast, which is looking at free agent positions of need. Now, I put out my first top 5 team needs. I do this all the time. I made a huge glaring mistake and had to go back and amend my article, but still, we all make mistakes, right? We're human. When I was doing this, though, I made sure to say in the article, some of these might be free agent, targets. Some might be in the NFL draft. I feel like there are some positions where we can decipher the two. So I guess what I want to do here is I want to send it to Brian or Dave first. Say a position that you know as a team need, but you want the team to get it in free agency, which starts in March, compared to maybe wanting it in the draft. Doesn't mean that they won't draft that position, but a position where you're saying, if they're going to get one of these, I'd love it to be an experienced player who can come in right away. Brian, do you have one off the top of your head? Or do you want me to go first?
I can go first because it's absolutely quarterback. I do not want them drafting one because quarterback.
Okay, very good.
And I would rather them we talked about with our sourced breaking news story from a week and a half ago. We talked about how the Steelers are looking at bringing an experienced name in here. I would rather them do that than get a guy in the 7th round like Chris Oladuko.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair. That's a fair point. Dave, anything to say about quarterback, or do you want to go?
Yeah, I could get behind that notion, but I also wouldn't be shocked if they take a mid-round quarterback or something. If it's there, I don't think they should go high in the draft quarterback already. Some people that are ready, the same people who want to complain about the Steelers wrote off Mason Rudolph too early, want to write off Kenny Pickett too early. Yeah. So it just, if you're going, I don't see an upgrade at the position coming via the draft. If you're going to do something, or I don't see worth the draft capital just to do something that you know is just to be QB3 or QB2 or whatever. So for this year. So I get what Brian's saying there exactly.
I could see the quarterback position being both. Because when you think about it, I don't think Mitch Trubisky is going to be around next year. I think he's going to be a cap casualty. So even if they bring back Mason Rudolph, that's a free agent signing because he's an unrestricted free agent. And then you only have 2 quarterbacks. So unless you're going to bring in like a Joshua Dobbs or someone of that nature, probably going to want to spend, like you mentioned, Dave, a mid-round draft pick on a quarterback if there's one available. I could see him double dipping at the position, but I also agree with Brian. Dave, what about you? What position are you thinking?
Well, I got another one that you could double dip at,
Sure.
and that would be center. If you
Yes.
don't bring back Mason Cole, you need more than one center, and I'm okay with them signing a free agent that's not a big name or whatever, if they feel it's something they can get in the draft, or if they don't think that it's someone they really like in the draft, then they make that signing. But bottom line is, especially for what the Steelers would be paying him this year, the Steelers need an upgrade in performance versus salary at that position.
So when you say center, do you mean also interior offensive lineman, where a lot of these players, Mason Cole being one of them, has experience at guard too, or specific to the center position?
I'm saying specific to the center position because I think the Steelers have their two starting guards.
Yes.
I've even heard people saying, it'd be interesting to see Dan Moore Jr. if he could play guard based on things like that. And I'm like, but he's not going to be better than the two they already have.
Right.
So that's the point with that one as well. So to me, that's why I just said center is one that I almost think they need to address both. The question is, how much you're going to spend in free agency versus how high you're going to draft. There needs to be a balance between the two.
Brian, what about you and thoughts on center?
I think it needs to be done both places, just like Dave said. I would struggle to think that they are going to bring back Mason Cole. That was probably the biggest hole on their offensive line. I really feel like they're going to bring one in the draft, but they're probably going to want to do that first, so you're not throwing a guy to the wolves and saying, all right, you are our rookie starter at center. We've seen that happen in 2010. We've seen it happen with success. Then we saw it happen in 2021, and it wasn't successful in Kendrick Green.
Yeah. There are some good centers in this draft, and I don't know them specifically.
But I don't know that any of them are first round grade, though. That's
maybe not. But if you can get one in the second, Creed Humphrey, second round pick. Was Linderbaum a second round pick as well?
No, he ended up being in the first, but after the Steelers selected, I'm pretty sure.
But the kid that ended up going to the Eagles, he was an Eagle Scout from Alabama. Why is his name escaping me?
Oh, but he's their guard.
Same draft. I thought he was originally a center.
But I mean, he wasn't playing over Kelsey at center. So Jeff said he's been playing it.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what is his name. I heard it when I was watching an Eagles.
Someone's going to put it in the live chat. We'll know it.
Someone will. Yeah. But he had a bunch of knee injuries. He had torn like both ACLs.
Mm-hmm. Like Livingston or something with an L or a ton or
nothing from the live chat.
Nothing. We got nothing.
Okay. I'll go with a different position here. One that I think is not, yes, people are going to say they should draft one, and maybe you do in the mid to late rounds, but I think it's cornerback. I think that you need to get a capable, younger free agent cornerback to be opposite of Joey Porter Jr. Levi Wallace is a free agent. They're Landon Dickerson. There
it is.
Yeah, I just found it too. I just put it up.
Sorry.
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
So cornerback to me, if you look at who they have remaining, meaning who do they actually have in the cupboard right now? Patrick Peterson, Joey Porter Jr., free agent is Levi Wallace, free agent is James Pierre. Corey Trice is going to be coming off of a knee injury, so he'll be back.
And so many Steelers fans are like, oh, they'll have Corey Trice. You can't bank on a 7th round cornerback who missed all the last year due to injury. If he's great, it's great, but you can't count on it.
Yeah. So if there's a position that's not quarterback that I would like them to go out and they go out there and spend some money, it would be a corner, because if you can get a corner opposite Joey Porter Jr., now all of a sudden Patrick Peterson's not going to be, if they keep him, by the way, it's not going to be thrust into the starting lineup on a regular basis. They could flex him to safety or move him around, kind of like they did with Cam Sutton in his early stages of his career. I think cornerback is a huge team need, and I could also see them double dipping, but I want them to get a free agent though. I don't want that rookie that's going to need to wait till week 5 till they feel like he's ready and he's not going to be out. He's not going to run into the proverbial wall at the end of the season. Give me a guy that's been there, done that, gotten the job done, like a Steven Nelson type. Even that was a free agent pickup that was huge at the time. Actually, everyone says like he was a bust. I don't think so. He played good football for Pittsburgh. Yeah, they just couldn't afford him, and they had the year when the cap went down. They couldn't afford him.
And of course, that was a backloaded contract, and you get to the final year of it, and the cap goes down. I don't think the Steelers even wanted to do that. They just didn't have any choice.
Yeah, and people are saying Levi Wallace. He's a free agent. No, I have no interest in them bringing Levi Wallace back. But
see, I disagree.
You want Levi Wallace back?
If Levi Wallace is coming back to be your depth at corner and not a starter, and someone who fills in, he played so much better once Joey Porter Jr. was the starter, when he didn't log all those snaps. Then he comes back in at the end of the season when Patrick Peterson had to go to safety, and he played just fine. I would say even better than just fine. But that's the kind of role he would be. He would not be your answer to be the other corner opposite of Joey Porter Jr. So if you bring him back, it's in that regard.
Yeah. Okay. As a depth piece, I get it. Brian, what about you? What do you think about corner?
Yeah, I'm looking to bring in a corner in both places as well. I think, team needs, you could rank them different places that you want to rank them. But if anything has been known from last season, in the offseason, they brought in a lot of players at a lot of different positions. So there's going to be a whole lot of turnover. There's going to be a whole lot of people brought in. They have no problem signing a guy. They have no problem now signing a guy and saying, okay, well, I guess that didn't work. Even like in the Desmond King, trade, they had no problem saying, okay, we'll cut our losses on that. So I could see that corner is an absolute need. I'm not closing the book on Levi Wallace, but if he stays, I want him to be exactly where Dave wants him to be. I don't want him to be your starter there.
Daniel Red on Facebook putting up a good point. I'll put it up here to give him some credit. He said, what about Darius Rush? So he would be, he's a free agent, is he not?
That's a great question.
I don't remember having him on my list.
I don't remember him being on the list either, but I've seen different lists places. Like Bob Labriola had a list today that did not match what I've seen everywhere else.
He works for the Steelers, so there's a chance it's wrong.
Yeah, I was going to say because
there's a good chance it's wrong.
He had like 3 restricted free agents. Everywhere else I've only seen 1.
Yeah.
So
it's a name though. It's a name to consider because he did play some down the stretch.
I'm trying to remember where he is. Okay.
So okay.
But Brian, did you say something about Desmond King?
Yeah, he was a trade.
No, he was cut by the Texans.
Okay,
and they signed. So yeah, especially someone like that you don't have to give up anything for. But they have done that in the past with like a cornerback right around after training camp and everything. So I know what you're saying. I was just double checking.
Okay. Brian, do you have another position that you would target in free agency?
Yeah, I'm bringing in a punter if there's one available. And
I draft one.
You know what? Because I really don't like the drafting of a punter. I know there's certain teams that really like to do that. The Steelers brought in a second punter last year, and I think Braden Mann ended up being the better guy. I don't know what his persona in Philadelphia and what everybody thought of him was, but it seemed like he played well for the Eagles. So I really think that not just competition, but you might want to bring somebody in a serious competition. I'm not talking about a camp body. I'm talking about bringing in somebody that will, if he is much better, then he takes the job. And then Presley, Big Press, has to go out looking for a new home.
Yeah, I think Press is going to have to earn it. Dave, what do you think about the punting situation?
Yeah, don't draft another one. Don't do that.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if we're going to get into another cycle of what we keep seeing, and that is because the weather's nice and everything's good, grand, and wonderful. Presley Harvin kicks the snot out of the ball in training camp. But by the end of the season, he's just not getting it done. that's been the pattern, it seems like. So I won't be shocked again if in August we're talking about Harvin, oh man, he really seems like he's turning around. I'm not going to say that he has until we can say that in December.
You think it has to do with the weather? Like, do you think it's the fact that it's hot,
Probably.
it's warm in the summer, it's easier to do the job? I mean, if you think about striking activities like golf, like it is different golfing in the colder months than it compared to when it's nice and warm and the humidity levels are up. So that's something that, but yeah, I agree with both you guys. You have to ponder on that list. Dave, what about you? Any other positions come to mind?
Yeah, here you go. Wide receiver 3. The reason I'm saying that is you gotta release Allen Robinson. You can't have he has the same base salary as Deontay Johnson. I talked about that in this morning's Stat Geek.
Yeah.
Same base salary this season. A $10 million savings right there. You have to cut Allen Robinson. Now, could you sign back Allen Robinson at a much lower rate? Yes. Could you sign someone else potentially? Yes. But the reason I'm not looking at the draft for wide receiver 3 is if you're drafting the wide receiver high enough, then you're not going to want them to just necessarily be the third guy. And so if you're drafting them lower, you're not wanting to have to use them right away either because of that. So that's why I think for that particular role and this team, I don't think they want to have Calvin Austin have to be the guy to be the third guy. I like him to be in the mix and also be a guy that they could use otherwise, but not necessarily have to do that. I think they should have, bring in somebody else. And then if you have someone like a CA3 that ends up being better, then you go with it. Same kind of deal with what I was saying with somebody like a Levi Wallace at corner. If you bring him in to be your third corner, and then during training camp, Corey Trice ends up being better than him, then you're just a better team for having that. And that's the same way I would look at it with Calvin Austin III if he could knock off someone. But you're not breaking the bank for your third wide receiver. But I don't think the draft is the place to find it.
Brian, thoughts on wide receiver?
Yeah, that sounds absolutely correct. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if they continue to look for magic at that position in the draft. But this kind of seems like something that teams are doing more and more, and the Steelers are falling in line with that. So I'm definitely thinking that they're going to bring somebody in, that you not late in the game, but maybe earlier on in the game. We're not talking a game breaker, but that third guy.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Because it came up in the live chat and Brian just said it. I don't think it holds true about the Steelers and wide receivers anymore.
I was thinking the same thing, Dave.
I really don't.
Swear. Yeah.
Because I mean, just look recently. You got Pickens, you got Austin, TBD, too early. Okay. Then you had to go back more. You had Chase Claypool already gone, not making an impact anywhere that he is. Deontay Johnson, the Steelers signed with the contract. Steelers fans complain about him a lot. So you can fluctuate one way or the other. James Washington, second round, he's not even in the league anymore. Juju, to me, with Juju, he was lightning in a bottle early, but I still think it's the injuries that got him down more than anything. Then if you're going back, you're talking Sammy Coates. Whether or not you call Dre Archer a wide receiver, I don't know that I would. Martavis Bryant with other issues. Marcus Wheaton. And then to go back to 2012, you're talking Tony Clemens. Yeah. Those aren't names, Yeah, you had Emmanuel Sanders and Antonio Brown in 2010, but really, you don't really have anything since that gives me a lot of, that I'm certain that the Steelers can find those great wide receivers. I think that's right, of course.
Yeah.
So
okay,
sorry,
so
I went on a little bit of a rant.
the last position here, which I'm literally going to pose the question to you all. I'm not stating that this is what I want to do. I'm asking what you think about this position. This is before we take a break. So Brian and Dave, what do you think about inside linebacker? Because Mike Tomlin, now Quan Alexander ruptured his Achilles tendon, and he's a free agent anyways. So he signed a 1-year deal with the Steelers. So they technically have no contractual reason to keep him around. Now, on the same time, you also have Cole Holcomb, who Mike Tomlin did not sound very enthusiastic about being ready to go for training camp this year, based on the fact that he suffered a pretty horrific knee injury himself. At least that leaves one guy. That leaves Landon Roberts. They need to address the position somehow, some way. Brian, would you have inside linebacker on your team needs? And if so, would it be a draft? Would it be a free agent acquisition?
Yeah, I would probably look at a free agent acquisition because, like you said about Cole Holcomb, that happened on November 2nd.
Yeah.
So
in Las
that's not,
Vegas.
yeah. No, actually, I was at that game, was the Tennessee game.
Oh, that was Tennessee. I thought he got hurt in Vegas. Okay, I was wrong.
Vegas
Yeah,
was week 3. No, yeah,
Okay.
it was
So
around mid-season.
so when you're looking at it happening, that late, it's going to take a lot of time for that to heal. So yeah, I'm looking at them bringing somebody in. I'm looking at them seriously looking at bringing back Miles Jack as well. I can see that as a definite possibility here.
Dave, what about you?
I think inside linebacker is a big team mystery. It's the way to say it. I think the Steelers, because of the injuries and everything else, I think they're going to kind of hold this one close to the vest. They might not want people to know if they're in the market for a free agent inside linebacker or the draft or however they do it, because those comments didn't make you think that give you a lot of confidence with Cole Holcomb. And remember, he's under contract for 2 more years with the Steelers. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Landon Roberts is under contract for another season. So I just think it really is a big mystery that they could really go one way or the other, depending on how they feel the injury stuff is going. And if they think there's any question about it, I see him addressing the position.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that position has been an absolute curse since 2017. When Ryan Shazier went down, they have not been able to address that position in any way. You can talk about success at wide receiver. Talk about failure to address it in the draft even in free agency. Go down the list of inside linebackers. For all the Steelers have done at wide receiver, they have done worse in inside linebacker. I mean, you talk about the Joe Schobert experiment. Yeah, that went well. You could talk about drafting. Who's the guy from Texas A&M right after Buddy Johnson? Yeah, that panned out too. Now that was a 4th round pick. It's not like it was a high draft pick, but still, I think you get my drift here. So we'll see what the Steelers want to do at inside linebackers. This is a good exercise just to get my mind right, thinking about the Steelers coming into free agency. Remember, it starts March 13th, legal tampering period, which is legal to tamper. That is 2 days prior on that Monday, which would be the 11th. So we'll have everything for you as that rapidly approaches. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back after this break, we're going to do predictions for the championship games this weekend and some Steelers trivia. We'll be right back. All right, Steeler fans, welcome back to the second half of the show. Thank you all for sticking around. I want to make sure everyone understands that this is only part of our content. If you're watching live on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, you can check out all of our audio-only shows like Brian's Bad Language. Dave had a great Stat Geek talking all about contracts this morning, Thursday. My Let's Ride podcast every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Brian and Coach KT Smith with the Here We Go Steelers show. Wherever you get your podcast, search Steelers or Steel Curtain Network. Find us, and you'll enjoy all that stuff. I guarantee it. Okay, let's talk about the conference championship games, and let's do some predictions. Let's start with the AFC. Baltimore Ravens, Kansas City Chiefs, M&T Bank Stadium. It's going to be a raucous environment. Believe it or not, the Ravens are giving 4. The spread is -4 in this game. Brian, how do you see this one shaking out?
I really see the Baltimore Ravens winning this game, and it hurts me to say because I abhor them so much. And look, if the Ravens do make the Super Bowl, then they end up playing the San Francisco 49ers. Remember, another team already has 6. I'm not, I know some people don't want to be told that you can't root for this team and you can't root for against this team. But don't tell me who to root for. Look, if you are rooting for the Baltimore Ravens, then I kind of find that tough because you're tougher than I am because I can't do it. The only time I can do it is if the Steelers absolutely need that win to get into the playoffs, or they have to have it. But in a situation like the Super Bowl, it would ruin my year to watch them win. So I would want nothing more than that team to lose in this conference game this weekend, not even getting there. I also want them to break the entire prophecy that the NFL put the colors this way and it's a script, because I think that's a bunch of malarkey, and I'm not talking Mike.
All right. Dave, what about you? How do you see the AFC game going?
Well, it sickens me because, I mean, think about it. The Ravens already have decisive wins over both teams in the NFC Championship game this season. They beat them both pretty good when they played them during the regular season. So I have a feeling if Baltimore pulls this game out, they should be favored in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I mean, this is kind of a little bit of reverse psychology. I'm going to take the Ravens to win just because they should. It takes something special to actually figure out the Ravens. Man, how lucky did they get that two other teams from the AFC North made the playoff, and yet they didn't have to play either of them? Because if they did, I think they'd have been one and done. Because I think if Cleveland doesn't get blown out by Houston, I think Cleveland could have taken down Baltimore. They split with them this season. And I think the Steelers could have taken down Baltimore after sweeping them. And people are like, oh, they didn't play me last week. I don't care. It's just 7 in the last 8. We'll just keep it at that. 7 in the last 8. So it really is sickening to have to say that I think that the Ravens are going to win that game. But the way they're playing and Mark Andrews coming back, I just think it's, if the Ravens are ever going to win it, they have to do it in a year where Lamar actually stayed healthy. And so far, this has been it.
So I would say bet the Ravens on the money line. Take the Chiefs getting the points, though. I think it's going to be close. Some people are predicting a blowout. I don't see that happening. I think the Chiefs are too good. I think they are experienced. They've been there, done that. The pressure's on Lamar and company. You know, the Chiefs are on the road. It's a different beast. I get it. So we'll see.
But honestly, I think if it's close, I think that favors the Chiefs in a close game.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
all right, let's go with the NFC. This is a larger spread. The Detroit Lions go to Santa Clara to play the San Francisco 49ers, and it is a 7-point spread. 49ers are spotting the Lions 7. Brian, what do you think?
I think the Detroit Lions are the most popular team in football right now. If you don't have a fan base, if this is not your own fan base of the other three, I would probably think that 27 other fan bases or 26 other, whatever, I can't do the math right now, I don't care. But all the other fan bases are probably rooting for the Detroit Lions, maybe with the exception of those in the NFC North. Probably not rooting for them, but I think a lot of teams would love to see this team do it. They are riding a great high. I just don't really see San Francisco looking as anemic as they did and looking as vulnerable as they did against Green Bay. I really think that this is San Francisco's game, so I'm betting the favorites this week.
All right. What about you, Dave?
Hey, I listened to Pez's picks. Niners have not looked good for a while.
Right.
They have not looked good since they played the Eagles. There's just seems something different going on there. I'm not voting. I'm counting on Deebo Samuel not playing the whole game. That if he does play, can he even last the game? And the stats with them with Samuel and McCaffrey and Purdy in the lineup, all three together the whole game versus when they're not, it's crazy. 7 points. Give me the Lions covering, and I'm even pulling for them to pull off the upset, so I actually have someone to cheer for in the Super Bowl.
This is my upset special here. You want to make some money, put the Lions on the money line, straight up win. I love them getting 7. I think that they could possibly shock the world and upset the number 1 seed in the NFC. We'll see how it plays out, but it's going to be fun nonetheless. All right, let's finish out the show with a little trivia. Brian, did you ever think of one? I know you were struggling before the show.
I do have one, and this is simple. We talked about some positions that the Steelers do need to go ahead and look at. Who was the first quarterback the Pittsburgh Steelers ever took in unrestricted free agency when it started in 1993?
Was it Tom Zach?
It is Mike Tomczak.
That's who I would have guessed.
Okay,
Good one,
so
Jeff.
we're going to make it a little tougher. Who was the first corner that they took? And this happened in 1995.
95. They took a corner.
And I'm going to actually give Jeff a hint. It was a West Virginia Mountaineer. That doesn't make it any easier, though.
No, it doesn't. I wasn't a big Mountaineer fan in 95.
5. That would have been my senior year
Did-
in high school.
Did they draft Dwayne Washington? No, that was later. He was later.
he was a rookie in 95 with the Vikings,
Okay.
but they signed him later on.
I can't think of it. Who is it?
Alvoid Mays.
Never would have.
Never would have got that. Never would have got that.
That's,
You could have given me multiple choice, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't have got that.
That's good.
There you go.
All right, good stuff. Dave, what about you?
Okay. There's been a lot made out of the Steelers, and they have not won a playoff game since the 2016 season. I keep going and on record saying that's not this team's fault. That's something that Coach Tomlin has to own, not these players, because they weren't all there. They weren't the ones who crapped the bed in 2017 when I sat there and watched them lose that game to Jacksonville. But in that game against Jacksonville, how many players during the entire 2017 season playing any snaps for the Steelers, how many of those players are still on the team?
All right, say that one more time, Dave.
From 2017, the
Yep.
2017 team that went 13-3,
Yeah.
the year where the Steelers started their streak of not winning a playoff game.
Right.
How many players from that team are still on that played snaps that season are still on the Steelers roster as of this past season?
I'm going to say 5.
And Brian's going to say
3.
and they are
Boswell, Hayward, Watt.
Boswell, Hayward, and Watt.
Hmm.
That's it. That's how much of a turnaround it's been. But let's take it 1 year closer, because this is where we're going to get to it. 2018. If you look at players who played snaps during the season, I am giving you that whole idea that it has to be that. The Steelers only add, if you're going to make that list, you only add one more name of players who played snaps in the 2018 season that was still on the roster in 2023. Who was that player?
Is it Christian Kuntz?
That's a great guess, but no, that was Cameron Canaday. Still was the long snapper. They only added one more player.
And he's still on the team.
That's still on the team
He's still on the team.
as of now.
Deontay Johnson. No, that was 19. He came in 19.
Well, here, I'll tell you right now, John Funker said Rudolph. Guess what? Rudolph didn't play any snaps that season. So it's not Rudolph.
So from that 18.
Was it Chooks in that draft?
There you go. Jeff Hartman got it. Chooks
Chooks.
Okorafor is the longest tenured Steelers offensive player. He goes back to 2018. But think of that. All the way back then. You guys remember that 2018 season? That was the first season I was covering the Steelers with you guys.
Mhm.
And, you had the whole AB meltdown at the end. Yeah, they're sitting on the field watching the game on the Jumbotron. My brother-in-law was at the game. Everyone stayed and was watching to see Baker Mayfield not do it for the Steelers to not make the playoffs. But you look back at that team, one player from that offense was all that was left, and he got replaced this year. That's how much of a turnaround this offense, a turnover they've had with this offense.
That's crazy. So, all right, good trivia, Dave. That was great. Brian, I know you got to get out of here, so you want to do some final thoughts before you go?
Yeah, my final thoughts are simple. enjoy this weekend watching football. Know that it doesn't matter because the Steelers aren't playing.
Very good. Good stuff. Dave, what about you? Final thoughts?
All right. Well, good to see you, Bad.
Yeah, get
My
outta here, Brian.
final
You gotta go.
thoughts. Yeah. My final thoughts are this. I am going to watch football this weekend, and I'm going to enjoy it because as long as there's NFL football to be played, it extends the offseason. I said it this morning on Stat Geek. Yes, it's the offseason for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Everything's rolling on with hearing about coaches' interviews, things of that nature, but it doesn't, the offseason doesn't completely kick in for everybody until after the Super Bowl. And that's why I'm like, I'm going to take it in for as long as I can to stretch that out a little bit. But it's something that I've been thinking about a lot with this Steelers team. Man, there's a lot of different ways to spin how things went down in 2023. How you look at it depends on what the Steelers need to do to fix 2024. So what I've been trying to do an awful lot lately is think of how do the Steelers actually view this rather than just the fan base, because the fan base might not believe in something, but if the Steelers do, then they're going to address it accordingly. If I'm actually looking to see how they're going to do things, that's the way I'm going to look at it. But every year is different. And as I learned Tuesday night, for those of you here in the live chat that were with us for our final question at the end of Scobro Show, there is a lot of optimism for the Steelers to be an organization that can do the right things to get to a better place next season. Ultimately, it would be really nice next year at this time, this same Thursday of the season, to be previewing a game. Will the Steelers make it that far? No, but guess what? We have an awful lot of time to think about it, talk about it, and wish for it.
Absolutely. It was tremendous stuff there from everyone. Dave, thanks for joining us. Make sure everyone takes a check. Hey, just check out steelcurtainnetwork.com. It's a website that is new this year. It's our first season getting through this thing. There were some ups and downs, some peaks and valleys, but I thought it was a good experience getting outside our comfort zone and trying something new. We're looking to improve the website this offseason, so be on the lookout for that. In the meantime, though, check out steelcurtainnetwork.com as well as all of our podcasts, wherever you get your podcast by searching Steelers or Steel Curtain Network. All right, Dave, good stuff as always.
Are we going to be, we might be regular time next week, though.
Next week, we might be a little bit later. There's a possibility. Yes, there is. So we'll keep you up to date with that. Check us out on the social media platforms. In the meantime, Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hey.
See you next week for another Steelers preview.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.